Good afternoon, my friends. This is Paul, and I would like to thank a YouTube commenter by the name of Dragon Hero for helping with this particular video, because I originally made a review of Dragon Quest XI on my channel, and I didn't really understand the point of Dragon Quest. I've never really liked this old school style of RPG, and a lot of my original critiques from that review still stand. However, this YouTuber made quite a few good points that I had missed out on because I haven't played any other Dragon Quest games. So, I decided to give Dragon Quest XI S for the Switch a second try, and I decided to play it a little bit differently this time based on that feedback. The first change was that I was going to actually try to do the side quest because I'm not really sure. I'll just say they had responded that doing the side quest makes your characters really overpowered, and then it makes it so that the battles are really easy, which I had a lot of trouble with the final battle, and that's why it was one of the first games I've reviewed that I actually didn't beat before I reviewed it, but I did get to the final battle. The second change I made was that I was going to make the battles on autopilot, which is generally something I try to avoid in RPGs because I like to be meticulous about who goes where. But in a system where so much is determined by RNG, I said, you know what? I've heard in another YouTuber's video that if you set the characters to fight wisely, that you'll never get a game over. And so, in the entirety of my playthrough of the main campaign, I only had 2 game overs. And on the second try, I was able to succeed by just switching around my party the next time. I felt like the AI really allowed me to experience the story, the world building, and the exploration without the tedium of the battle system, of which I don't really have a whole lot of additional compliments, just that I'm really glad that the auto battle is an option and that the AI is actually competent enough to actually do the right things. And of course there's other options, like if you're the type of person who gets bored by the same old attacks, you can tell the AI to do a variety of attacks. I chose Fight Wisely because I was more concerned about the outcome of the battle than flashiness. But it's up to you if you're the type that doesn't want to go through a whole bunch of menu-driven combat. As I completed the side quests, I found that they were really rewarding for the most part. Admittedly, a lot of the side quests were really kind of annoying because unlike Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, you didn't have an exact waymark telling you where to go, but at the very least, they told you what you would get for doing the side quest, so that I would say, oh, okay, this side quest is just a bunch of clothes, this one is an accessory, and overall, it would help me get motivated, because I'd say I don't have to just guess what you get, kind of like how most people are shocked when they find the reward for collecting 900 Korok seeds in Breath of the Wild. Overall, I thought that finding new outfits was really great because I love games that allow you to change your clothing, and it really helped me to feel like I was getting my own personality into the game a little bit more. I also appreciated how the world building, I mean, it's nothing like, say, Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, but you do really get to appreciate the geography of the land and the different cultures of the various towns and settlements. I still get pretty annoyed by some of the quirks in the game, like that town where everyone speaks in haikus. Still grinded my gears a lot, and I groaned every time I had to return to it. But especially once I got to the post-game and realized that there's still quite a bit of story left, I was like, wow, they really did a good job of setting up this world, especially considering that this is, like, not connected to the other Dragon Quest games from what I've heard, and so you can technically play this by itself, and you don't really need to have knowledge of what happened in the previous games to understand the storyline. So, a lot of the valid compliments that I gave in my previous reviews still stand too. I still say the music is phenomenal. So phenomenal, in fact, that's actually the main reason why I gave this a second chance, was because I missed the soundtrack. I was like, oh, come on, I gotta hear this orchestral majesty. Now, you can choose the synthetic soundtrack, but honestly, why would you? Even my best friend, who generally loves synthetic music, couldn't stand it when I showed him the orchestra piece side by side. So I would say if you're not a fan of the game, but you're a fan of symphonic soundtracks, this is definitely that game where you should just put aside your game biases and say, I'm getting it for the music. Especially with the auto battle option that makes the game and do most of the work for you. The graphics are still really nice, and I appreciate how pop-in is generally kept to a minimum. Really, the only issues I had were if enemies would appear out of nowhere. But it wasn't really a game-breaking deal. It was more of this was a Switch game, and so they had to make a couple of sacrifices compared to the PS4 and Xbox One versions. But surprisingly, from what I've seen, this one actually turned out a lot better, because the definitive edition truly lives up to its name. You've got the option to have a symphonic soundtrack. The original versions only had the synthetic one. You can play the whole game in 2D mode. I did not bother trying that because as I was going through the side quests, I did encounter some that forced you into 2D mode with the Tickington side quests, and those are so annoying because the battles were all random. And you couldn't really change the randomness of the battles like you could in, say, Bravely Default. So sometimes I would just want to walk a couple of feet away and another enemy would appear. And I'm like, come on, I'm just trying to get out of here. Also, not to mention the controls and the menus felt really clunky and the music was chiptune. And overall, it felt like I was playing a completely different game, which may be fine for some of you. I've heard people that actually have played the 2D mode say that they do think that it's like, what would Dragon Quest be if it was released on the Super Nintendo instead of the Switch? So I guess that would be a nice history lesson for people that like retro Dragon Quest games, but that option is not for me. So I'm really grateful that they gave me the option to play in this more streamlined fashion. I also really appreciate how in the definitive edition you can speed up the battles, because I generally like my action to be snappy. I generally put most things on the fastest toggle if I have an option. And since the original game's battles were so slow and N64-ish in terms of their speed, it was nice to just have the characters breeze through the battles in a matter of seconds, even if that kind of ruined a little bit of this footage because the battle song would be over so abruptly. And it's really nice that you can have the music turned off, so that if you just want to appreciate the symphonic soundtrack, you don't have to deal with the sound effects and the voice acting. Although I really liked the voice acting. I think they got an all-star cast of varying dialects to really fit the you're traveling all over the world, and it's not like in Tolkien's books everyone had a British accent. Now you've got people with American accents, you've got Italian, high-class British. It's really nice to see the variety on play here. So overall, I enjoyed Dragon Quest XI significantly more when I did the side quests and when I chose auto battling, because it basically negated the two biggest issues I had the first time I played. Playing it on auto battle meant I didn't have to worry about my attacks possibly missing because the game doesn't bother giving you a percentage meter. I wouldn't have to think about which spell was the most powerful and the most effective. And so, with the game making the decisions for me, it was a lot easier to just appreciate everything else. And I feel like the stuff that I did enjoy, now I really enjoy because I wasn't worried about how to do the battle. Then when I did the side quest, it helped me get enough equipment and level ups to feel like by the time I got to the final battle, I was able to defeat the final boss in one try, which, man, I struggled so much in my original playthrough. So, if I told you not to play Dragon Quest XI in my original review, I highly take that back, now that I found out about those options. Now, in fairness, I did say that if you liked this kind of gameplay, Dragon Quest XI did a great job of refining what made Dragon Quest games great. But if you weren't a Dragon Quest fan and I told you to stay away, I think it wouldn't hurt if you gave this a try, even if only for the orchestral soundtrack. So with that, thank you very much for watching. If I left anything out, please let me know in the comment section. Again, this isn't a re-review, this is more of just me giving this game a second look. So if you want a full review of mostly what I think about this game, you can check out my original review on this channel. So again, I hope you have a wonderful day. Please leave me a comment on how much better I did. I really hope Dragon Hero sees this, because I made this because of their suggestions. And until the next time, keep the faith, stay epic, God bless, and who knows, maybe games in the future will take a hint from Dragon Quest XI and allow you to auto-battle your way through those too. Bye-bye.